You felt it before you had language for it. The applause, the sudden support, the people who appeared when your light became visible. Chosen one, listen carefully. You are not ordinary, you never have been. And because you carry something rare, you attract attention, not just from heaven, from wolves. Have you noticed it? The louder they clap, the heavier you feel. The more they praise you, the more tired your spirit becomes. The celebration feels real, but something underneath feels off. That is not paranoia. That is discernment waking up. You were marked from the beginning, marked for purpose, marked for assignment, marked for warfare and favor at the same time. And there are 9 shadowed gateways you must avoid, 9 doors that look harmless, 9 entrances guarded by wolves dressed in agreement, affirmation, and applause. Not everyone will recognize this. Only the chosen feel this tension between light and manipulation. This is why you must stay alert. This is why you must listen deeply. Because admiration can be a trap. Because support can be strategic. Because not every open door was opened by God. If this message is confirming what you have already sensed, stay connected. Align yourself with truth. Stand with clarity. You are not here by accident, and this revelation is not random. First, gateway of false validation. The door where applause masks assignment theft. You have walked through this before. Someone celebrated you loudly. They admired your gifts. They spoke highly of your wisdom. They called you powerful. And you felt seen. But slowly, subtly, your energy shifted. Instead of advancing your calling, you were pulled into theirs. Instead of building your assignment, you were solving their chaos. Instead of focusing on destiny, you were managing drama. And they kept clapping. Do you see it now? Their praise felt intoxicating. It stroked wounds left by past rejection. It soothed the isolation you carried for years. But it drained you. Because false validation feeds ego while starving purpose. You are chosen, which means your light is valuable, which means your attention is currency. Wolves understand this. They cannot access your anointing directly, so they redirect it. They celebrate you into distraction. They affirm you into exhaustion. It is subtle. It feels good at first. It feels like acceptance after a lifetime of being misunderstood. But the aftermath tells the truth. You feel spiritually dry. You feel off course. You feel busy but not aligned. That is the gateway. This is not punishment. This is confirmation. Your light is powerful enough to be targeted. Your destiny is valuable enough to be diverted. Ordinary people are ignored. Chosen ones are managed. And you must refuse to be managed. You do not need applause to validate your calling. You do not need flattery to confirm your identity. You do not need noise to prove your worth. Silence with alignment is better than applause with theft. Stand firm. Guard your energy. Guard your focus. Guard your assignment. Because the enemy does not always attack with hatred. Sometimes he approaches with admiration. And if you discern this gateway, you close a door that once drained you. But there is another door, more subtle, more disruptive. Second, gateway of manufactured crisis. The trap where drama disguises itself as loyalty. You have seen this pattern. The moment you gain clarity, chaos erupts. The moment you focus, someone falls apart. The moment you advance, an emergency appears. Coincidence. Number warfare recognizes movement. You sharpen your vision. You set boundaries. You commit to discipline, and suddenly you are needed. Urgently, emotionally, repeatedly. They say, I don't know what I'd do without you. They say, you're the only one who understands. They say, I need you right now. And your heart responds because you are chosen, because you are compassionate, because you carry strength others lean on. But listen carefully. Not every crisis is divine warfare. Not every battle is your assignment. Not every fire is yours to extinguish. Darkness is strategic. If it cannot seduce you with applause, it will exhaust you with urgency. If it cannot redirect you with praise, it will entangle you with problems. Have you noticed the chaos never appears when you are distracted? It appears when you are disciplined. It appears when you are aligned. It appears when you are about to elevate. That is not random. That is resistance. You feel torn. You want to be faithful. You want to be present. You want to help. But every time you step into their storm, your own calling pauses. Your prayer life weakens, your focus scatters, your peace disappears, and they call that loyalty. But loyalty that drains your destiny is not loyalty. It is manipulation wrapped in need. Chosen one, you must discern the difference between divine assignment and emotional entanglement. Yes, warfare follows you. Yes, opposition surrounds you. Yes, the enemy reacts to your growth. But divine warfare strengthens you. It sharpens you. It pushes you upward. Manufactured crisis pulls you downward. It keeps you reactive. It keeps you small. If the pattern is constant chaos, constant drama, constant emotional dependency, understand this. It was never sent to elevate you. You are not called to rescue everyone. You are not assigned to every emergency. You are not responsible for every breakdown around you. You are responsible for obedience. There is a difference. The world glorifies exhaustion. The chosen protect alignment. You are not heartless for stepping back. You are not cold for refusing chaos. You are disciplined. And discipline is threatening to wolves. When you stop reacting, they panic. When you stop rushing in, they escalate. When you stop absorbing their storms, they accuse you. Let them, because your peace is sacred. Your focus is sacred. Your assignment is sacred. Stand firm. If the situation constantly pulls you into confusion, it is not heaven's strategy. Heaven brings order. Darkness breeds disorder. You were not set apart to drown in someone else's instability. You were set apart to build what God entrusted to you. And once you close this gateway, the noise will increase for a moment, but clarity will increase more. And what comes next is even more deceptive. Third, gateway of subtle compromise. The door that whispers, just this once. This one does not shout. It does not create chaos. It does not demand applause. It negotiates. You have felt it. A small adjustment, a quiet bending, a decision that feels minor in the moment. You tell yourself it's not that serious. You say everyone does it. You whisper it's only this once. But your spirit tightens. Because you were not built for compromise. You were built for consecration. Darkness understands something about you. It cannot overpower you in open warfare. It cannot defeat you through obvious attack. So it studies your boundaries. And then it presses gently, just this once, just this conversation, just this relationship, just this shortcut. Do you see the strategy? It never asks for collapse first. It asks for inches. An inch of integrity. An inch of silence when you should speak. An inch of agreement with something your spirit once rejected. And slowly what once disturbed you becomes normal. That is the fracture, not loud, not dramatic, but internal. Your authority weakens. Your clarity blurs. Your prayers feel heavier. Not because you lost your anointing, but because you tolerated a shadow. Chosen one storms do not destroy you. You were trained in storms. You were strengthened by rejection. You were refined through isolation. But tolerated shadows, that is different. Shadows live close. Shadows feel familiar. Shadows do not announce danger. They blend. Have you noticed how something you once would have immediately resisted now feels negotiable? That is not growth. That is desensitization. The world calls it flexibility. Heaven calls it compromise. You are set apart, which means your standard is higher. Your sensitivity is sharper. Your conviction is deeper. That is not weakness. That is protection. The enemy does not need you to renounce your destiny. He only needs you to dilute it. Dilution is subtle destruction. A little less prayer, a little less discernment, a little less boldness, and suddenly your fire is manageable. You were never meant to be manageable. You were meant to be dangerous to darkness. So when you feel that inner check, do not ignore it. When something feels slightly off, do not rationalize it. When your spirit resists, honor it. That tension is confirmation. It proves your light is still active. It proves your discernment is alive. Stand firm. Do not trade long-term authority for short-term comfort. Do not exchange conviction for convenience. Do not silence your spirit to fit into a room you were sent to transform, because every inch matters, and every inch you reclaim strengthens your dominion. This gateway is quiet, but it is deadly. Close it completely. because what comes next is even more deceptive. Fourth, Gateway of Counterfeit Brotherhood, the circle that mirrors you to manipulate you. This one feels holy. It sounds aligned. It speaks your language. It knows the phrases. It understands the warfare vocabulary. And at first you feel relief. Finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone who understands the isolation. Finally, someone who speaks of destiny calling anointing. But look deeper. You feel understood, yet strangely unseen. Have you felt that tension? They repeat your revelations back to you. They quote your convictions. They echo your pain. But something is missing: depth. Because shared vocabulary does not equal shared spirit. The world cannot imitate your light, but wolves can imitate your language. They study you. They observe how you speak about your assignment. They listen to how you describe your wounds. They watch what moves your heart, and then they reflect it back, not to align, but to access. This is strategic, because you are guarded with outsiders. You are cautious with obvious opposition, but you lower your guard with familiarity. Counterfeit brotherhood feels safe. It feels like tribe. It feels like confirmation. It feels like unity. But unity without shared spirit becomes infiltration. You start sharing more, revealing more, trusting more, and slowly your discernment softens. Why? Because they agree with you. But agreement is not alignment. Two people can speak about purpose. Only one may be surrendered to it. You must understand this. Wolves wear revelation language when they cannot access revelation power. They cannot produce what you carry. So they position themselves near it. They cannot generate your insight, so they mirror it. They cannot receive your anointing, so they attempt to manage proximity to it. And the most dangerous part, they do not oppose you openly. They affirm you publicly. They support you verbally. They defend you in conversations. But privately, something feels draining. You leave interactions confused. You feel subtly diminished. You question yourself. That is not coincidence. Because counterfeit brotherhood slowly shifts your center of gravity. Instead of seeking confirmation from God, you begin seeking it from the circle. Instead of standing alone in authority, you lean on consensus. But chosen ones were never built to be validated by crowds. You were built to stand when misunderstood. You were built to walk alone if necessary. You were built to lead, not blend. Isolation prepared you for this. It trained your ear. It sharpened your discernment. It strengthened your spine. Do not trade that for artificial belonging. You are rare. Not everyone can walk with you. Not everyone can understand you. Not everyone is assigned to you. And that is not arrogance. That is structure. Guard your inner circle fiercely. Test spirit, not vocabulary. Discern fruit, not phrases. Because the deeper you go in destiny, the more refined the infiltration becomes. And what approaches next is even more subtle. Fifth, gateway of delayed obedience. The whisper that says later. This one sounds harmless. It does not tempt you with applause. It does not flood you with chaos. It does not mirror your language. It simply says, not now, and you recognize it. You felt the instruction clearly. You knew the move you were supposed to make. You sensed the shift in your spirit. Call, leave, start, end, speak. It was clear, but you hesitated, not because you doubted God, because you calculated comfort. You told yourself you needed more time, more confirmation, more stability, more certainty. And the whisper agreed. Later. Chosen one, understand this. Darkness cannot always stop you directly. You are too aware now, too discerning, too spiritually awake. So it stalls you, strategically. Because favor is often time-sensitive. Doors open in windows, assignments move in moments, and hesitation can quietly close what fear could not. Have you ever felt that weight the moment passed? The opportunity shifted, the grace lifted. Not because you were rejected, because you delayed. This is not condemnation, this is awakening. You carry authority. That is why timing matters. Ordinary people can wander. You cannot. When instruction comes to you, it is precise. When direction arrives, it is calibrated. Because you are not just surviving life, You are stewarding destiny, and destiny moves. It does not wait for comfort. It does not pause for overthinking. It responds to obedience. You felt the nudge. You felt the urgency. You felt the internal fire that said, move. But the mind argued. The emotions negotiated. The environment distracted, and the whisper returned. Later, listen carefully. Delayed obedience is disguised disobedience. It feels safe. It feels rational. It feels responsible. But spiritually, it is costly. Every time you postpone what God made clear, your confidence weakens slightly. Your sensitivity dulls slightly. Your boldness shrinks slightly. Not destroyed, but diminished. And you were never meant to operate diminished. You were marked to move when others hesitate. You were chosen to act when others debate. You were anointed to step when others stall. This is your pivot. You are not just avoiding traps anymore. You are recognizing your power. When you obey quickly, environments shift. When you move decisively, resistance scatters. When you act in alignment, momentum multiplies. Darkness fears your speed. It fears your clarity. It fears your immediate obedience. Because when you move without delay, you break patterns. You disrupt cycles. You outrun sabotage. So stop negotiating with instructions you already understand. If it was clear, move. If it was confirmed, act. If it was spoken, trust it. You are not fragile. You are not unprepared. You are not behind. You are positioned. And the moment you step without hesitation, you will feel something shift. Power, not borrowed, not external. Yours, but the next gateway. Attack something even deeper. Sixth, Gateway of Emotional Entanglement. The bond that clouds discernment. This one feels powerful, not loud, not strategic, personal. It touches your heart. You felt the warning at first, a hesitation, a check in your spirit. But then came attraction, or sympathy, or nostalgia, and the warning softened. Have you seen this pattern? You questioned the connection in the beginning. You sensed something misaligned. You felt that subtle unrest. But emotion stepped in. You remembered their pain. You saw their potential. You felt chemistry. You felt history. And slowly you began defending what you once discerned. You explained away red flags. You justified inconsistency. You silenced intuition because the heart wanted what the spirit resisted. Listen carefully. You are not weak for feeling deeply. You were built to love deeply, to care deeply, to bond deeply. But depth without discernment becomes danger. The heart can become a blindfold when not guarded. And wolves understand emotional access. They do not always attack your mind. They attach to your feelings. Because when you are emotionally entangled, you hesitate to cut what needs to be severed. You say, but I care. You say, but they need me. You say, but we have history. And slowly your clarity fades. You stop listening to that inner signal. You stop trusting your first instinct. You begin operating from attachment instead of alignment. That is the trap. But here is the revelation. Your seasons of isolation were not punishment. They were preparation. When you were alone, your discernment sharpened. When you were separated, your hearing became precise. When you were misunderstood, your dependency shifted from people to God. That isolation trained your sight. It removed emotional noise. It strengthened spiritual perception. It built independence inside you. And now the enemy tries to reintroduce noise through attachment, not through hatred, through affection. You must understand this. Not every connection is covenant. Not every bond is destiny. Not every strong emotion is confirmation. Light attracts, but not all who are drawn are assigned. You are marked, which means your relationships matter. Your agreements matter. Your intimacy matters. Because what you attach to influences your authority. If the bond clouds your peace, it is not from heaven. If the connection weakens your clarity, it is not divine. If you constantly feel torn between heart and spirit, choose spirit. Command your emotions to submit to discernment. You are not cold for protecting your calling. You are not cruel for guarding your clarity. You are disciplined, and discipline preserves destiny. The world calls it love at any cost. Heaven calls it wisdom with boundaries. You are not here to be entangled. You are here to be effective. And when you break emotional chains that once blinded you, something powerful happens. Your sight returns, your strength returns, your authority intensifies. Because a chosen one with clear discernment is dangerous to darkness. But the next gateway is even more revealing. Seventh, gateway of secret jealousy. The smile that studies you for weakness. This one is subtle. It does not confront you. It congratulates you. They clap when you win. They post support publicly. They say they are proud of you. But something in the atmosphere feels tight. Have you sensed it? A pause that lingers too long. A compliment that feels slightly forced. A question that digs a little too deep. They celebrate you publicly, but compete with you privately, and you feel it. Not because you are suspicious, because you are discerning. Your growth agitates something unhealed within them. When you rise, it exposes where they refuse to. When you discipline yourself, it highlights where they stayed stagnant. When you obey quickly, it confronts their hesitation. And instead of being inspired, they feel threatened. Listen carefully. You did not create their insecurity. Your light revealed it. Wolves circle when elevation becomes visible. Not when you are hidden, not when you are doubting, not when you are small, when you are ascending. Have you noticed how tension increases right before breakthrough conversations shift? Energy changes. Support feels conditional. They begin probing. Subtle questions. Are you sure you're ready for that? Do you think that's wise? Isn't that risky? Not to guide you, to measure you. They are looking for cracks, looking for insecurity, looking for hesitation. Because if they can find your doubt, they can amplify it. But hear this. You are not fragile. You are forged. Rejection strengthened you. Isolation matured you. Warfare refined you. You did not survive storms to be undone by side glances. You carry something that cannot be erased. Your anointing is not borrowed. Your favor is not accidental. Your elevation is not luck. It is assignment. And assignment disturbs those who chose comfort over calling. The world says stay humble, stay small, stay safe. Heaven says occupy, advance, multiply. Do not shrink to soothe someone else's discomfort. Do not dim to preserve artificial harmony. If your growth agitates them, that is confirmation. Light always exposes, and exposure feels like attack to those hiding. You are not responsible for managing other people's insecurity. You are responsible for stewarding your destiny. Stand tall. Let your obedience speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your consistency speak, because the same smile that studies you cannot stop you. Not when you are aligned, not when you are guarded, not when you know who you are. You are spiritually protected, not invisible to attack, but impossible to suppress. And when jealousy circles, it is proof that elevation is visible. You are rising, and what approaches next is even more deceptive. Eighth, gateway of spiritual flattery. The prophetic tone without purity. This one sounds spiritual. It uses the right words. It speaks in destiny language. It declares greatness over you, and it feels good. They tell you how powerful you are, how anointed you are, how favored you are, and none of it is false. That is what makes it dangerous. Have you noticed they affirm your greatness, but they never call you higher? They celebrate your potential, but they never challenge your discipline. They speak comfort, but never conviction. Their words soothe, but they do not sharpen. Listen carefully. True alignment convicts before it comforts. When heaven speaks, it strengthens you, but it also stretches you. It exposes pride, it corrects posture, it demands growth. Flattery does not demand growth. It keeps you exactly where you are, and you feel celebrated, but not refined. Wolves understand ego, not the loud kind, the subtle kind. The part of you that endured rejection, the part of you that was overlooked, the part of you that longs to be recognized. Spiritual flattery feeds that part. It says you've already arrived. It says you don't need correction. It says you're beyond accountability, and slowly your edge dulls. You stop seeking refinement. You stop inviting correction. You stop pushing yourself deeper, because the affirmation feels enough. But chosen one, you were not called to feel enough. You were called to become more. Light sharpens light. Iron sharpens iron. True prophetic alignment will unsettle you at times. It will confront you. It will stretch you. It will elevate your standard. If a voice only comforts you, question it. If a voice never challenges you, test it. Because when affirmation lacks fire, it is bait, not blessing. You are spiritually dangerous. That is why the enemy prefers to inflate you rather than attack you. If he attacks you, resist. If he flatters, you relax. And relaxation at the wrong moment costs momentum. You are not untouchable because people praise you. You are untouchable because you remain teachable. Stay hungry, stay sharp, stay submitted. Do not let applause replace accountability. Do not let comfort replace consecration. The world claps for performance. Heaven refines for purpose. You are marked for purpose, and purpose requires fire. If the words around you never burn away ego, they are not from God. You do not need constant affirmation. You need transformation. You need stretching. You need sharpening. You need voices that love you enough to confront you, because your destiny is too heavy for shallow encouragement. You are stepping into a level where softness will not sustain you. And what comes next is the most dangerous gateway of all. Ninth, gateway of destiny. Interruption, the final threshold where betrayal activates promotion. This is the one that feels unbearable. Not distant, not subtle, close. This wolf will not stand across from you. It will stand beside you. When your breakthrough is imminent, when momentum is building, when doors are beginning to open, that is when it strikes, and it will feel personal, surgical, unforgettable. You will not just feel disappointed, you will feel pierced, because this one knew you, walked with you, spoke with you, and the betrayal will try to whisper something dangerous. It was all a mistake. You misjudged everything. You should have stayed small. But listen carefully. This is not interruption. This is separation. There is a level you are stepping into that cannot carry hidden attachments. There is a promotion coming that cannot coexist with secret dependencies. What appears as loss is surgical removal. What feels like abandonment is divine extraction. Have you noticed the pattern? Right before elevation, something breaks. Right before expansion, something collapses. Right before visibility, something is exposed. That is not coincidence, that is preparation. Because your destiny cannot be accessed by everyone who walked with you in previous seasons. Some people were allowed near you for a chapter, not for the throne. And when betrayal comes at this level, it is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to detach you from the last fragments of human approval. You did not realize you still carried it. The need to be understood, the desire to be validated, the hope that they would celebrate your rise. But this final gateway removes that, painfully, completely. And when it is removed, something shifts. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop negotiating your calling. You become immovable, because now your approval comes from heaven alone, and that makes you untouchable. If you discern this gateway and refuse to let betrayal harden you, if you refuse bitterness, if you refuse revenge, if you refuse to retreat, you will not merely survive, you will ascend, beyond the reach of every shadow that once hunted you, beyond manipulation, beyond jealousy, beyond flattery, beyond emotional traps. This is the ceiling. You are not the victim of betrayal. You are the product of refinement. You are chosen, fully awakened, spiritually protected, divinely assigned. Nothing that left was necessary for where you are going. Nothing that betrayed you can follow you upward. Stand up, release it. Forgive without reconnecting. Bless without returning. Move without hesitation. Type the number 9 in the comments if you understand this threshold. Let it be a declaration. Let it be a marker. Subscribe if you are ready to walk in this level of discernment and authority, because not everyone will understand this message. Only the chosen recognize it. You were never ordinary. You were forged in warfare, shaped in isolation, refined through rejection, and now you stand at the edge of elevation. You are chosen, and nothing formed against your destiny will stand.